Hey everyone! You're listening to another episode of Tu Tia Bruja. I'm Bex Carlos, your host. So, it being the Halloween season, one of the things that I would really like to focus some episodes on are things that I used to love that used to scare the shit out of me. So, one thing I want to talk about is I used to love this show called Scariest Places on Earth. So, originally it was on Fox Family, which then became ABC Family, and then like Sci-Fi did reruns, and it aired from 2000 to 2006. Linda Blair, which I'm sure you know of The Exorcist fame, she played Reagan. She was the host of the show, and then Zelda Rubinstein, which RIP, she was the clairvoyant, the medium on Poltergeist. So she was the narrator of the show. It was cool. It was like a paranormal documentary style show. Part of the episode, they would just tell you like all the history, the facts, the things that like happened to why people were like, all right, this place is pretty fucking haunted. And then the rest of the episode, it was kind of like split up. There might be people going and like checking out the location, but it wasn't solely focused on just the location itself and individuals going through. Because personally, I don't like shows like that. Like walks through the house and yells at stuff. I'm like, first of all, even if there was a spirit there, you're talking to them real fucked up. So it's not really surprising that they don't want to fuck with you. Anywho, that was kind of the format of the episode. I remember the episode that really, really scared me. It's the first episode too. You can find it on YouTube. It was about the town of Athens, Ohio. Okay, and please keep in mind that I have never been to Athens, Ohio, so my knowledge is just what I found on Wikipedia and other articles online and the show, so bear with me. Athens, Ohio has been deemed one of the most haunted places on Earth, and this is according to the British Society for Psychical Research. Okay, they have said that Athens, Ohio is like the 13th most haunted place on Earth. So, I mean, let's get into the origin story. So, Athens, Ohio, apparently there are 5 cemeteries in the town that when they're all linked up, they make a pentagram. And in the middle of said pentagram, and I know pentagrams aren't necessarily evil, but just bear with me. So anyway, it makes a pentagram. And in the middle of the pentagram is this building. So originally it was called the Athens Lunatic Asylum, which was a mental health hospital. It was pretty fucked up, y'all. This was built in 1874 and ran till about 1993, I believe. So anyway, they did a lot of really fucked practices, inhumane treatments such as lobotomies, hydrotherapy, electroshock, and early psychotropic drugs. Also, they would take, because before, you know, people thought that if you masturbated, you would go crazy. In the first 3 years of being open, 81 men and 1 woman were admitted for being insane due to masturbation. This hospital eventually was bought out by the university, which was right next door. And by the way, how weird is that? I mean, I know that mentally ill people, for the most part, like are not violent, you know, neurodivergent people are not violent most of the time. But it just seems like in a time where they did think that these people had to be, you know, basically shunned from society, that they would put this hospital next to the university, because the university was built there first. It was established in 1804, and, you know, students were allowed in 1809. So anywho, that seems odd, but whatever. Taking a quick pause from the episode, have you been feeling kind of heavy? Or maybe there's just energy around that isn't yours? I mean, it is October, and I always feel like spirits are kind of on high right now. Check out Melissa at Temperance Home and Bar. She's really good about just helping you clear out bad energies. I was having a time where I just felt really heavy. I wasn't sure if the energy I had was mine or if I was like just holding on to other people's energy, because as an empath, that does happen. So she has sent me a bunch of different things. She's sent me like some different floor washes. She's sent me different smoke bundles to like burn for intention. Honestly, any different form of witchery that you need help with, she is going to help you. Check her out. She's in the show notes. It's Melissa at Temperance Home and Bar. But the university buys out part of this hospital. And from there, they turn it into the Ridges, which was just, they used it for various things, like a multi-purposed building. And part of it was on the campus. So the campus, again, is also in the center of this pentagram. And the fucking hospital is like haunted on its own. There's like all these like different accounts of like, one, there was a woman who I guess they were transferring all of these individuals from the hospital in like 1979. They had to close for some reason, and everyone was moved except for one person. She then, I guess, like for weeks and weeks and weeks, they looked for her. They couldn't find her. So eventually she just took off all her clothes, put him in the window, just laid down and died. Anyway, so after she died, this imprint was made on the ground. So years later, so this would have been in 1981. I believe the building might have been used for other purposes, so it was still there and people could get in. Anyway, so in 1981, the student walks in, touches the supposed stain, walks back to her dorm room, and is haunted by this woman who died. She then ends up committing suicide, because there's always someone who commits suicide, right? Like if there's a haunted building, there has to be at least one, unfortunately. There was just all these weird things that happened, and the town is super haunted. There's just like all these like scary events that happened, and that one really fucked me up. So that was one. And then there's like a couple of, they go to other places. Like one place that I've been to that they did check out was they went to the Colosseum in Rome. And personally, I don't think that I would ever enter the Colosseum, and this is why. If you have, super cool, like I'm not trying to dog your decision to go, but I felt a lot of energy just being outside. And I remember when I went, the person that I was there with was like, hey, do you want to go inside and go for a tour? And although I didn't want to spend the money, I will be honest, I also didn't want to go in there because people were made to fight like dogs. And the energy in there is going to be, you've probably never felt much like it. Probably a very sinking, draining, emotionally intense feeling. When I went to Europe, I just had a lot of stuff going on at the time. So I was like, I do not need this to spiral me into a crippling mental state, you know? Which, funny story, I ended up getting there anyway, but I digress. So if you haven't checked it out, Scariest Places on Earth, you can find a lot of the episodes on YouTube. I think Freeform, which is now what ABC Family was, posted their list of all of the different things that they're showing for the 31 Days of Halloween. And unfortunately, that is not on there. So that's okay. Check out a couple of places you could look. Like I said, YouTube for sure has it. I watched a couple of episodes there because I was feeling nostalgic. Also, check out Sci-Fi because Sci-Fi was airing them and they might be doing that again for Halloween this year. Anyway, so that's my reason for why you should check out the Scariest Places on Earth, because it's fucking scary, and who doesn't like just being scared? I know I do. All right. So anyway, thank you for listening to this episode of Tutia Bruja. Be sure and follow the podcast on Twitter and Instagram if you don't. Tutia Bruja, no accent because, you know. And then you can also check me out on Instagram and Twitter at BexbyCaston. You can also check out my website, BexbyCaston.com, and there's a Tutia Bruja tab. Information there if you want to collaborate in some way. Thank you for listening. Look forward to tomorrow's episode. Bye.